What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Well, we are here. The series finale of Pose. Listen, I know I fussed this season. I think a lot of my fussing came from the fact that I was disappointed that it was the end. But it is what it is. We are at the end. Let's talk about it. So we start off, we have Blanca doing what Blanca does best with her wonderful bedside manner. She's talking to a young kid who is in the hospital. He's, got thrush on his tongue and he's been, going back and forth. And they're talking about this clinical trial. Well, they didn't say it quite like that. But they're talking about these new meds. And, Blanca said, listen, unless you have an inside connect, you ain't getting into that. The FDA is holding it up, but we can, keep hope alive. Now, while she's having this conversation with the young kid, nurse Sandra Bernhard, she comes to get Blanca and says, listen, basically it's Prey. She said, I don't know what's going on. Normally he lets me know that he's coming to the hospital. He just checked himself in. He didn't say anything. Well, Prey is bad. I mean, it's deathbed bad. It's call your friends bad. And, of course, she ain't giving up. She said, listen, it ain't over yet. It ain't over till it's over. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to figure some stuff out. We're going to get a second opinion. Because, at the end of the day, they know what the ultimate ending is going to be or should be. But that's still their friend. And they're going to do everything that they in their power to make sure that that doesn't happen, right? So while they're doing that, Pray Tell is telling Blanca, listen, like, I get it. I understand that y'all doing the old college trial, but at the end of the day, this is it for me. It's a wrap. It's done. And at this point, all I can do is just be comfortable. Like, my mom, I have, and Blanca finally sort of acquiesces, and she said, well, do you got a will? He said, yeah, my aunt has it in Pittsburgh, and I've already told her what my wishes are, and they have a moment, they have the conversation that needs to be had as far as friends, and we're at the end, and you've always been that person I needed you to be. You've always been the best friend that a man can have. We did this together, but he told her, I do want to finish my quilt, my panel for the AIDS quilt. And he brought it with him to the hospital, and so, she pulls it out, and, of course, it's was it Live, Work, Pose, Pray Tell, and he's got a disco ball and all of that. And so, and again, you get started and you're like, oh God, this is it. You prepare yourself. Like, I had prepared myself for this. I was ready for this. So then next we see Blanca talking to she's going back over to the patient, the little white boy that had been in there before, and he's good. Like, he looked like life is lovely. The thrush is gone. He's feeling 100%. Well, come to find out, he had gotten into the clinical trial. And so Blanca's like, well, what happened to you? Like, how you get this miracle, recovery? And come to find out, he got into the trial, right? He got into the trial. And so Blanca is talking to, Chris, aka her boyfriend, and the nurse, and they come to the conclusion that basically people of color are not being let into this trial. And this is the cocktail that really did turn the tide. Not AZT won't it, and we talked about that. We dealt with that last season. But this cocktail really did turn the tide for a lot of people. And they end up going to, I guess the person that's over the, one of the administrators at the hospital, and they are really like threatening and talking about they're going to bring Axel down here, and Christopher really, he is really giving it to him. And she was like, listen, I appreciate y'all's passion, but I'm going to really need y'all to remember that I'm the boss. I'm going to need y'all to bring this all down. Just a little bit. So then Blanca was like, listen, I hear what you're saying, and that's all well and good, and it is what it is, but let me tell you what happened. I get on the phone with the ACT UP people, and we could be down there picking in 0.2 seconds. I'm just saying how you want to carry it. And she was like, listen, I really don't appreciate being threatened, but I actually agree with y'all. So let's see what we can do. So they end up getting Pray Tell and Blanca into the study. Now Blanca wasn't here for it; she was fighting for Pray Tell. But Christopher had to convince her. He said, "Listen, I mean, I love Pray Tell and all of that, but you are the woman I'm in love with, and I want you around for many, many, many moons. And so this is what needs to be done." And she was like, "But I'm fine. Like, I don't know why. I was diagnosed before Pray Tell. I don't know why he's sicker than me, but I'm good." And he was like, "That's not how it works." He said, "By the time you get to where Pray Tell is, it may already be too late. Like, we can't wait until you're that sick to decide to do something. You have an opportunity now. I need you to trust me." Like, and it was very reminiscent of kind of where we are now with the whole vaccine situation with COVID. I was very reluctant and very, on the fence and wasn't sure about the vaccine. But, what's the alternative? Dying. Anyway, so they end up, they're taking the meds, and, Pray Tell was there for it. He was like, "Listen, I ain't ready to die. If this was going to do it, then let's make it happen." And so they end up getting on to, the trial and everything. And Pray Tell is good. Next thing we see Pray Tell coming down the street in all his regalness, meeting up with Ricky, honey. Ricky's back in town. He done touring. And the two of them are in a really good place. And I love to see this. I love to see the fact that they are friends again. They're even flirting a little bit again. And I was really, really hoping that I would get a reconciliation with Pray Tell and Ricky. But what I'm happy to see is that they were friends again. And the love was there. I think maybe they would have eventually found their way back to each other. But anyway, so Pray introduces Ricky to the men's choir, the gay men's choir of New York. And he said that is something that has helped him. He said, beyond the ball, beyond, those things, this has helped him really deal with survivor's guilt a little bit. The fact that he was able to get into the trial that so many people couldn't get into, and this has helped him. And so he introduced Ricky to it, and he got Ricky to join with him. And there's this, when they're coming in, they're singing "The Man That I Love," and this is important. And all of the people turn their back to the audience, except for there's a few men dressed in white. Everybody else is dressed in black. And Ricky was like, "Well, why are we turning our back to the audience?" And he said, because those are the original members. And so our backs are turned to symbolize the ones that have died. But the people in white are all part of the original coalition. And they sang "The Man That I Love." So then we had Pray Tell and Blanca. They're still working on this panel, honey. And they're talking about how both of them are doing really well, and how they don't understand, how this is working, and why, it's still not being open to everybody. And, Pray Tell is talking about all the things that he wants to do. He's talking about getting, taking the things off of his bucket list, and, living life and just enjoying life, and embracing this second chance. And they're just basically talking about having a new lease on life that this medicine has given them. So then we see Ricky and Pray Tell. He had the men over for the men's choir, and he has Ricky helping him clean up afterwards. And again, honey, I thought we was going to get a moment. I thought we was going to get, another love scene. I thought Ricky and Pray Tell was going to fall into the bed. I feel like I was robbed of one last love scene between Ricky and Pray Tell, but I'm gonna let it go. But Pray starts talking about, how he just has this new leash on life, and he's been thinking about, building, doing his line again, and flying around the world and looking for fabrics to do his clothing line. And then Ricky starts talking about being tired, and how he's tired of not having, he was saying he may not go back on tour. And he was saying how he's tired of not having a permanent place to live, and he's tired of not being in love, and he's just talking about all the things he's tired. And he starts talking about how, he may not get it in his life. And Pray Tell's like, "Boy, what you talking about?" And Ricky shows him he has a lesion on his chest. And of course, that is a very early symptom that, your HIV status is turning into AIDS, and it's becoming an issue. And so of course, Pray Tell tells Ricky, "I'm not gonna let that happen to you. Like, you're gonna be all right." So they go back to the hospital and they go back to the doctor to try to get Ricky into the trial. And they're told, listen, it's too late. Like, the trial is too far gone. It's too late to add new people. It's just not, and this time it's not so much about color as it is just about compromising the study, And Pray Tell is like, listen, it's not okay. It's not enough. This is one life, and one life isn't enough, and we've got to do more. And baby, he gets upset, and he storms about that hospital, and I said, oh Lord, here we go. What Pray about to get into? Well, they picket the hospital. He goes to his ACT UP people, and they have a protest in front of the hospital that doesn't end well. The police get a little handsy and people get arrested and a couple of people get beat and all of that. But everybody's down there. I didn't see Electra, but I saw everybody else but Electra, honey. We saw Angel and Poppy and Lulu and Ricky. I ain't saying that Electra won't there. I'm gonna say I ain't see Electra there. But everybody was there. So next we see Blanca and Pray Tell getting ready for the ball, honey. They are doing Lulu's Sweet Serenade, and they are performing together, and they're putting their makeup on. And again, we are having this conversation where Pray Tell's conversation has sort of changed a little bit. He's no longer talking about being happy and his new lease on life and building up his line and doing this and doing that. Now he started saying, like, listen, I'm good. If I die tomorrow, I'm good. And he's telling Blanca how much of a great friend she's been, and how it's always been more than just him being a house father, that they are friends. And then they talk about Christopher. We kind of find out, Blanca is talking about how much she loved that man and how special he makes her, and that he's gonna move. They moving in together when his lease is up, and things are just really well. And she said, I just never thought I would be this happy. I do love him, and he loves me, and it is what it is. And so, again, they share this moment before they get ready to go out there and perform. Now, they end up performing Ain't No Mountain High Enough, a la Donna Ross, from her Central Park, her very infamous Central Park show. And for those who don't know, it rained and it ain't stopped nothing. Donna Ross did her thing out there in the rain in Central Park, honey. And guess what? Poppy and Ricky, they done rigged up the thing. So while Blanca and Pray Tell are out there performing, baby, they got rain. They had the shower heads, and they done piped in the water, and they had rain and everything coming down. Listen, it was beautiful. It was cute. It was really, really nice. And Dr. Christopher is in the house. It's his first ball, honey, and he is there for it. Okay. And it was a moment. I was here for it. Every time it's a moment. Okay. Before they perform, we did get to see no, not Cubby. Nope, that's later. That's later. Sorry, I done jumped ahead of myself, child. So of course they perform, and once it was over once that rain came out. I don't know who performed before them. I don't know what they performed, but it didn't matter. Once they piped that rain in, and they kept going in that rain, and them wigs was wet, and they was doing their thing, baby, it didn't matter. It was what it was, honey. It didn't matter. Okay. So when it's all over with, they're outside talking. You got Ricky and Pray Tell, and they flirting, and Ricky said, I'll be over tomorrow, and Pray's like, okay, come on by. Again, I was hoping that Ricky be like, I'll be there, give me 30 minutes, but I ain't get it. Then we got Blanca and Christopher and, Pray talking. And as they're walking off, he was asking him how he liked his first ball and was he ready to walk and all that good stuff. And as they're walking away, Pray says to Christopher, he says, you take care of her, okay? And I knew then. I knew before then, but I ain't want to say nothing, but I knew. So next we see Pray Tell taking his makeup off. We have this very... It was a moment. I can appreciate that they took their time with this moment. They took their time with this moment. As always, they got the music right. Say a Little Prayer for You is playing in the background. Miss Reefa, Auntie Reefa, and Pray is sitting in the mirror with the candles burning, and he's taking his makeup off, and he is just staring. And baby, we see him get up. He blow them candles out, honey, and he gets up, and he's got this white house coat billowing as he walks into his bedroom, and it is billowing in the wind, baby. It was everything. It was a moment. And the next morning, Ricky comes by, and he said, Pray, you still in bed? I told you I was coming. Baby, Pray dead. And Ricky tried mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Ricky is having a whole breakdown. It was, again, listen, Ricky don't owe me nothing for that whole scene and the scenes after that. Ricky don't owe me nothing. No, ma'am. He left all that on the floor. He left it all on the floor. Because next thing you know, we see him at the hospital, and we see Blanca. And baby, MJ Rodriguez, you don't owe me nothing either, because the scream that came out of her when she went to Ricky and said, how's Pray? And Ricky looked at her and shook his head. Baby, they don't owe me nothing for that. I was in here just a snotting right along with them. So next we see the family is at Blanca's house, having dinner, and everybody, everybody is what it is. They sad, And Blanca said, y'all need to eat up. Y'all know Pray wouldn't want y'all, starving yourselves to death. We got to deal with it, And they talk about the fact that it was a heart attack. But listen, ain't nobody going to convince me that man didn't commit suicide, okay? He committed suicide. He made up his mind that this is when he was going to take his exit. And in true Pray Tell fashion, he decided when and how he was going to fucking go out. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. Now, they can say what they want to say, but I'm just telling you that's me. I feel like most of y'all probably agree with me, okay? So as they're sitting there talking, and they're talking about, well, what could have happened to, the medicine. He was doing so well on the medicine, and he was this and he was that. And Ricky starts getting upset because Ricky's like, I'm on the same thing he's on. And they were like, huh? They're like, how you on the same thing he on when he was on a clinical trial? Like that wasn't, you can't buy that over the counter. And Ricky said, well, he gave me his meds. He said he got some extra dosages and, and for me to take them because he wanted to, he wanted me to be okay. And so I just figured he was swiping them, or he had convinced the doctor to give him some extra dosages. And nurse said, oh no, ain't no way in hell anybody got no extra dosage. And again, Dylan, you don't owe me nothing, baby, because when Dylan realized that that Pray Tell gave him his meds, like I said, Pray made up his mind. That's why you ain't gonna convince me that he ain't take that he didn't decide that night. Because he'd already decided that he was going to let Ricky live instead of him. Baby. Again, Ricky was inconsolable. Inconsolable. So, I feel like, and El Teddy 27, y'all check him out. He said that he feels like we were robbed of the funeral. And I do feel like we were sort of robbed of the funeral. I feel like we've been to everybody else's funeral. People we didn't even know, we done been to their funerals. We was at Candy's funeral. And I do feel like we might have been robbed of that. But I also feel like maybe if we had a normal season, maybe we would have got the funeral. Because I feel like this should have been, the whole thing. And at the end of this, should have been his funeral. But that's me. But what we do see is his mom came to visit Blanca to fulfill his wishes. She's got the lockets, and she said, listen, I had to practically, strangle my sister to let me do this. And she said, I know who you were to my son. I know you were his best friend. I know you were like a mother to him. And I want to thank you for being what I couldn't be. And again, they share a moment, but she lets Blanca know. She said, I did what he asked me to do with his ashes. We made the lockets, and there's a list of people who the rest of these lockets need to go to, and I'll let you handle that, and you give those out. And then with whatever's left, Whatever ashes are left, I've already taken what I want. And whatever ashes are left, you do whatever you want to do. They're yours. If you want to sprinkle them, if you want to have a memorial, like you do what you do your thing. You know, and again, they share a moment, you know, and they have a hug, and Blanca got that good old Viola Davis snot thing going. Like, that's when you know what's good to you, when you got the Viola Davis snot thing. And so next we see Blanca has called the family together. Well, no, before we get to that, Act Up is having a meeting, and they're talking about that they need to take some extreme measures, that what they're doing isn't working, and they come up with this idea that they're going to sprinkle the ashes of their lost ones on the mayor's lawn. They're going to protest at the mayor's house, and they're going to sprinkle the ashes. And you see Blanca sitting there going, I don't know about this part. I don't know about sprinkling no ashes. Like, I mean, you see her thinking. You see her really thinking. And then this woman stands up and she talks about her son. She said, listen, my son died yesterday, and I can't think of a better way to honor him, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, at the time, I thought she was talking about his ashes too, but we're going to get to that part. So they agree that they're going to have this protest, and they're going to sprinkle the ashes, and Blanca eventually raises her hand to say she'll do it. And Ricky is there, and he raises his hand, like letting Blanca know we good. Like, I agree, we good. So they get to the protest, and they get to the protest, and before I get to the protest, I'm sorry, y'all. Blanca gathers the family at Pray Tell's apartment. She's got the council there, and of course the rest of the family. And she tells, she lets them know that, these were Pray Tell's final wishes, and he wrote a note to everybody. And she gives all of them lockets. Even Electra got a locket, and she said, he said, at first he said not to give you one of these, but I know he was just playing. But he did leave her a note, which lets me know that he did really want to include her, because he did leave her a note. And he told each one of them what they meant to him. And he talked about Lulu, and how, even when Lulu was always a fighter, and she never he never took no shit off of nobody. And so even when he was feeling his words, he just thought, well, what would Lulu do in this? He said, Poppy and Angel, y'all showed me what love in this community could be. That there could be real love and devotion and commitment. And it could look like a family. And it could be, quote unquote, normal. He talked about the council and how, you were my brothers. We built something here. And I'm proud to have stood by you in this. Sandra Bernhard got one, and he, talked about, her being a pain in his butt. But proving to him that, there is some good white people in this world, right? And with Electra, just listen, you have never allowed anybody else to define who you were. You always stood in who you were and was proud of it. And so it was a moment. I was snotting and crying again, honey. I was snotting and crying again. So they go to the protest, and like I said, honey, they sprinkled them damn ashes. Listen. Again, I'm sitting here all emotional because that woman showed up, and she didn't bring the ashes of her son that had just died. Baby, she brought her son. She brought his body. Now, I don't know how she got the body. Because at first I thought it was symbolic, but then when it was her, I said, that is really her son body. Wow. But again, they had this great protest, So that's how that ended. So then we fast forwarded to 1998. So it's 2 years later. It's 2 years after Pray Tell's death. And they fast forwarded, and we have Blanca, honey. Blanca done graduated. She is a full-fledged nurse now. She's working at a different hospital, honey. Sandra Bernhard has moved up. She's in the neonatal unit. She said, listen, I knew I was meant to be more than just a nurse that dealt with death all day. And now, I'm around babies all day and the smell of babies. And, after you've been around death for so long, you just kind of need that. And they talk about how successful this new cocktail is. And Blanca says it's amazing, what they've done with this hospital is so much cleaner and nicer, and they painted. And Sandra, Bernhardt was like, yeah, it's amazing how much money they found as soon as the AIDS patients stopped coming as often, because of course the cocktail is working and there aren't as many patients dying in the numbers that they were. Blanca and Christopher, they have their anniversary. They still together, honey, and they have their anniversary. But she said, thank you for understanding that we have to sort of postpone our anniversary until next weekend. And he said, oh no, I understand. He said, it's cool. You do what you got to do. So then we see the ladies linking up, and of course this was by 1998. We are in the full throes of Sex in the City, right? So we've got the whole oh shoot, I'm sorry, before I get to that, child, I'm sorry, I'm out of order. We see Blanca in her full glory as a nurse, and again, this is a full circle moment. It takes us back to when we first started, going back to the very first episode. There's a young lady, young trans a girl. You can tell she's young. You can tell that she's sort of early on in her transition, and Blanca has to call her in her office to tell her that she's positive, that she's HIV positive. What's the baby's name? I think her name is it starts with an S. And she talks to her. She said, listen, you work in the piers, huh? And she said, yeah. She said, I don't have no family, I just got to New York a few months ago, guy, y'all know the story, y'all know the drill. And Blanca said, listen, I worked in piers too when I was your age. She was like, what? She said, yeah, it was 5 back then. Now it's only 1 because, they done cleaned up New York. 1998, they done cleaned up. She said, and when I first got my diagnosis, she said, you positive too? She said, yes. And she told her, she said, listen, it's not a death sentence. When I was diagnosed, it was just death. We just knew it was coming. She said, but now there are a lot of medicines. There's a lot out here that can help you. And we're going to make sure it happens. She said, I'm going to get you signed up. And with your income, you probably ain't even going to have to pay for none of these meds. Based on your income level, and you ain't got no income, so you ain't got to pay for nothing. And she gives her the address. She said, what are you doing tonight? So she invites her to the ball, honey. She invites her to come to the ball that night. She said, I'll see you there, and we're going to get you through this. Then we see her linking up with the girls. And like I said, they are in their full, Sex in the City moment. They're brunching and everything. And, of course, Electra don't know what's going on. She was like, what is going on? Like, why is lunch so popular these days, or brunch so popular? And they were like, oh, it's the Sex in the City effect. And she was like, since when is sex... Since when is sex the issue making people want to go to brunch? And they were like, Electra, do you not watch TV? Electra was like, I don't even have a TV in my house, so nope. Like, I don't even have a TV in my house. Then the waiter comes over and he says, let me guess, you guys want Cosmopolitans? Electra was like, oh, what? She said, no, we want was it Johnny Walker Blue Label for the table. Okay, we want a real drink around here. And they're catching up, and we find out that, listen, first of all, Dominique, bitch, I mean, let's be clear, Electra never gets it wrong. I in the 3 seasons of this show, I probably can't think of one time that I felt like Electra got it wrong. Even when we did the flashback to Electra, when all she was wearing was that Afro wig and hardly any makeup, she wasn't getting it wrong, okay? But, bitch, that wig with the little gray streak in the front, honey, listen, you was with the quaff, you was giving it to me, okay? But all the ladies look good, and all the ladies are doing well. Angel is loving being a mom, honey. She is a full-time mother. And she said that her and Poppy are doing well, and that Poppy is even getting her back in the game a little bit, and she's going to start doing a little bit of modeling. Lulu, honey, is a full accountant now. She has finished school, and she is a full-fledged accountant. She just got herself a good promotion down to her job. And of course, listen, Electra got more money than she know how to spend. She done moved from phone sex to video sex, and she still, got the mob backing her up. She said she got a condo in Boca Raton and all kinds of stuff, honey. She's doing good. But they were clear to let us know, though, that even though she's got this hard exterior, that she is giving money, giving to a lot of charities, that she is actually paying for women in the ballroom who want to get hormones and want to have surgery. She's actually paying for it so they don't have to do, backdoor stuff and be like what happened with Candy. And that she's also, paying for AIDS research and clinics. Like she's giving back in many, many ways, right? She's giving back in many ways. And then of course Blanca, again, she's a full-fledged nurse now. She's finished school and she is in love, obviously. And she's still very much part of the ballroom, and she's trying to, that night she's going to a ball and she's trying to get the ladies to join her, and all of them are like, we all got something else to do. Like, ain't nobody got time to be down at no ball. Of course Electra was like, sweaty, dark room. No, ma'am. Like, that's not, no, ma'am. We're not doing that. And so she was like, all right, well, anytime y'all want to come back around, y'all know where I'll be. And they were like, yeah, whatever. We must do this more often, kind of thing. And we get to the ball, honey, and listen. The house of Evangelista has been revisited, okay? They have a new house father. Ricky is now the house father of the house of Evangelista, honey. And we see him with his churn, and he is getting them together, and he is looking like a young pray tell. Blanca is there, and they are calling her grandmother Blanca, but she is there helping them get ready for the ball, darling. And she said, this is her way of giving back. Like, the balls just mean so much to her that she will never leave the balls. Honey, Cubby is still very much there, and he is performing. He is still doing Candy's Sweet Serenade, honey. And of course, he is getting it to Nobody's Supposed to Be Here by my girl Deborah Cox, the remix. And we see the house of Evangelista walk, honey. And they are doing the damn thing. They are holding up the legacy. They are 10s across the board, and they catch a trophy. Well, then we switch the gears, and there's a very special moment. There's a very special moment, and we see Electra coming through. And of course, of course, Blanca is like, what's she doing here? She told me she wasn't coming to the ball. What's she doing here? And listen, she's clean as the Board of Health, okay? Clean as the Board of Health, okay? And she is talking about the balls, and, because they giving her legendary status. And she said, I am a legend. But it took hard work. It wasn't easy. I did that, And then she talked about the balls and the legacy of the balls and how important it is. And when people give of themselves and how much it can mean to us and for our family. And she talked about, because she gave her full name. She added her Evangelista in there, hunty. And come to find out, she is there to bestow upon Blanca her legendary status. And so that was a whole moment, They have a whole moment. And as they're getting ready to leave out of the ball, who shows up? The young lady that Blanca had been talking to earlier that day, that found out she was HIV positive. And she, she says, she tells her children, or her grandchildren at this point, y'all go get her dressed. She about to walk her first ball. And she was like, I'm doing what? She said, okay, this is your new family. We're going to get you off the streets. And you good right here with us. And as she's leaving that night, Blanca runs into a young house who are fussing and complaining because they didn't win nothing and the judges was tripping. And who comes walking out of the clouds is Prey. And it's actually a flashback to the first episode where Blanca started her own house and they were outside afterwards kind of complaining, and Pray Tell walks up on them and was like, so the judges didn't see it for you, huh? So y'all just gonna sit out here and complain, or you gonna do something about it? And so Blanca, you see Blanca sort of channeling her inner Prey and giving them, a hard talking to. And she says, are you the mother? Okay, well listen, these are your children and they looking up to you, so you got to figure it out and make a decision. What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And you see her kind of giving Pray Tell the wink wink, and then we see her walk off. Listen, Pose don't owe me nothing. All right, there's some things I would love to have seen. Of course, I didn't want it to end, but it was a good finale, and it don't owe me nothing. The only thing I would have loved to have seen, like I said, I would love to see one last little love scene with Pray Tell and Ricky. But I'm glad that we saw them become friends again. I'm glad that we saw that. We also found out that Damon is doing well. We know that in real life he had to leave the show because of a personal tragedy in his real life, but they did include him. That he's doing well, he's clean, and he's living in Chicago with a good sugar daddy who owns a string of dance studios, and Damon is teaching dance. So he's doing well, honey. He's doing well. And that's just how it ended. And I was here for it. And I don't know who gave Blanca that damn coat that Blanca was wearing as she was walking off into the sunset. That pink coat with that fur collar. Bitch, what? Okay. But it was everything. So I was here for it. I'm sorry to see it end, but I'm glad that I'm happy with the ending. A lot of times we get to the end of these shows and it just won't there. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.